3. Rewire your brain every morning. Powerful motivation. Every morning you are handed a gift. The chance to rewire your brain. Most people don't even realize it. They wake up and immediately repeat the same patterns they lived yesterday. Same thoughts, same doubts, same excuses. And then they wonder why their life never changes. But your brain is not fixed. It's not permanent. It's a muscle. And like any muscle, it becomes whatever you train it to be. Every morning, you have a window. A short, powerful moment when your mind is most open, most programmable, most capable of being shaped. And if you learn to use that moment, you can rebuild yourself from the inside out. You can break patterns that have held you back for years. You can install habits that will carry you towards success. You can literally rewire who you are becoming. The question is, what are you feeding your brain the moment you wake up? Are you feeding it fear, stress, and distraction? Or are you feeding it discipline, clarity, and purpose? Because your brain is always learning. It's always adapting. If you don't control what it's learning, it will default to what is easy. And what is easy is almost always what keeps you average. Rewiring your brain isn't about motivation that lasts for a few minutes. It's about building a mental foundation so strong that your actions automatically align with your goals. It's about taking control of the thoughts you allow in and the stories you allow yourself to believe. Because the story you tell yourself every morning becomes the life you live every day. Think about it. The most successful people in the world don't just work harder. They think differently. You've trained their minds to focus on solutions instead of problems, on growth instead of fear, on action instead of hesitation. They weren't born that way. They built that way of thinking, morning by morning, choice by choice, and so can you. The first step is awareness. Notice what you do when you wake up. Do you grab your phone and scroll through other people's lives? Do you replay yesterday's mistakes in your mind? Do you let anxiety dictate your first thoughts? Or do you wake up and choose intention? Do you tell yourself, today I will train my mind to serve me, not sabotage me? When you claim those first moments of the day, you take back control of your life. Because whatever you repeatedly think about becomes your reality. Your brain literally builds neural pathways around the thoughts you focus on. Feed it negativity and you make negativity automatic. Feed it discipline and you make discipline automatic. That's why successful people obsess over their mornings. They know those minutes aren't just about routine. They're about wiring their brains for the life they want. They visualize who they're becoming. They speak the words they need to hear. Prime their minds to chase goals instead of running from fears. And by doing it every day, they create a new default mode, one that pushes them toward growth without them even thinking about it. But understand this, rewiring your brain doesn't happen overnight. Just like you can't build a strong body in a single workout, you can't build a strong mind in a single morning. It's the repetition that does the work. It's the act of showing up for yourself every day, even when it feels pointless, even when it feels slow, even when the old patterns scream louder than the new ones. And here's the beautiful part. Your brain will fight you at first. It will resist change because it's wired to protect you from discomfort. But that resistance is proof you're on the right path. Every time you choose to think differently, every time you choose a new response, you're breaking down old wiring and laying down new wiring. And eventually, what was once hard becomes natural. Imagine waking up 1 year from now with a brain that automatically looks for opportunity instead of excuses. A brain that automatically moves toward discipline instead of distraction. A brain that automatically believes in possibilities instead of limitations. That transformation starts with the choice you make tomorrow morning. Rewiring your brain starts small, but its effects are massive. You don't need an elaborate ritual. You need intention. The first thing you think, say, and do in the morning sets a chain reaction that shapes how you see yourself and how you respond to the world. That's why it matters so much. Most people underestimate the power of the morning because they assume change happens in big, dramatic moments. It doesn't. Change happens in the small decisions you make repeatedly until they become who you are. When you wake up and choose focus over distraction, gratitude over complaint, action over hesitation, you are sculpting a new version of yourself, and that version becomes stronger every day you repeat the process. Your brain isn't just passively recording your life. It's actively designing it based on your patterns. If you tell yourself you're lazy, your brain will prove you right. You tell yourself you're disciplined, your brain will prove you right. The wiring follows the story. So what story are you feeding it every morning? Here's what most people don't realize. You, don't have to believe the story fully at first. You just have to repeat it long enough for your brain to make it real. At the start, it might feel like you're lying to yourself. You'll say, I am focused, I am strong, I am building the life I want. And a part of you will argue back, no, you're not. It's normal. That's the old wiring fighting for survival. Keep going anyway. Because every time you choose the new story, you're making the old one weaker. Think about a dirt road. If you drive on it enough times, it becomes a deep, carved path. That's how your current thoughts work. They're well-worn, automatic, easy to follow. Rewiring your brain means deliberately driving a new path every morning. At first, it's rough and uncomfortable. But if you stay consistent, that new path becomes smoother, stronger, and eventually it replaces the old one. Rewiring your brain is also physical. Your thoughts literally change the structure of your brain through a process called neuroplasticity. That means the work you do in the morning. Visualizing, affirming, acting with intention isn't just mental, it's biological. You're reshaping the hardware that controls how you think, feel, and perform. And you don't need hours to do it. You just need to own the first few minutes after you wake up, before the world floods you with noise, before stress steals your focus. That's when your brain is most suggestible, most open to influence. That's when you choose who you're going to be that day. Ask yourself, if I were already the person I want to become, how would I think this morning? How would I act? How would I speak to myself? And then do that. Don't wait until you feel like that person. Start acting like that person, and your brain will catch up. There will be mornings when it feels like nothing is changing. That's the test. Because change isn't loud at first. It's quiet, subtle, hidden, but every repetition is stacking up behind the scenes, and one day it clicks. Suddenly, the thoughts that once felt forced are natural. The habits that once felt impossible are automatic. That's how transformation actually happens. And this isn't just about success. It's about freedom. When you rewire your brain, you stop being controlled by your old patterns. You stop being a prisoner of your doubts, your fears, your excuses. You realize you have the power to think differently, and because you can think differently, you can live differently. But remember, no one else can do it for you. No one else can climb inside your head and change the wiring. It's your responsibility, your work, your gift. And when you take it seriously, you stop waiting for motivation. You create it. You stop hoping life will change. You change it from the inside out. So tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you rush into your day, stop, breathe, decide who you're going to be. Feed your brain the thoughts you want it to grow. Speak the story you want to live. Visualize the person you're becoming. Then move as if it's already true. Do it once and nothing changes. Do it daily and everything changes. That's the power of rewiring your brain every morning.